So, what would you want your story to be about tonight?
About a lizard who saw grass as the newest thing in the world. In the beach.
This is a story about Henry the Lizard. Henry the Lizard grew up on a lizard farm. This is a place where lizards were being grown because lizards eat certain insects. And if in a place needs to control those insect population because there's too many of those insects, they call the lizard farm and they buy lizards from them. It's just like the ladybugs. You can do that too with ladybugs or with praying mantis, for example. Anyways, Henry the Lizard had no idea what a lizard farm was. All it knew was that he was born inside of a plastic container. He grew up his whole life inside of a plastic container, and all of his friends and all of his family were the same. They were always, all of their lives, inside of a plastic container. And anybody that knew their lizard parents, their parents would tell them the same. Our lives have always been inside of a plastic container. So everybody was sure that the only world that existed was a plastic container, where magical hands would sometimes come inside and drop food or clean things out. Of course, the lizards had no idea that they were on a farm and that those were humans feeding the lizards. But Henry had a dream. He thought about a different world, a completely different dimension. And so he told his friends about this. And their friends were like, "Of course not, Henry, you're crazy. All there is to life is plastic containers." "Hey," said someone, "I think that Grace once saw a plastic container that was blue." "Oh, really?" "Yes, yes, but then they took it away," said Grace. And Henry was like, "That's nothing important. We have tons of plastic containers. What does it matter if one time you saw one with a different color?" "Hey, Henry, calm down," said everybody else. "We live in plastic containers and that's all there is to it." But Henry was not convinced. He knew that there had to be more. And so Henry decided to ask his spirit guides. And one night, when he was about to fall asleep, he asked his spirit guides to show Henry, what other worlds would look like. And that night, as Henry fell asleep, he saw a tremendous amount of light. But it wasn't burning, although it felt hot. And then he saw rocks, and he saw water, but not like the little water that they have on the plastic containers to drink. Oh no, he saw unbelievable amounts of water. It was like huge. It was never ending amounts of water. And so much food, insects everywhere. And not the ones that they feed you at the plastic containers. These insects were different. They looked delicious. Mmm. And so Henry woke up the next day and wanted to tell everybody. I was telling them about incredible amounts of water. And everybody was like, "What do you mean, like those plates with water we have in the plastic container?" "No, no, a lot more." "You mean like 2 plates of water?" "No, I'm talking about bigger than this whole room. Bigger than everything." "Ah, ha, 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 you're crazy, Henry." "No, and I also saw lots of sand and other insects. And it was incredible." And everybody was like, "Ah, ha. Oh, Henry, you're so crazy." But then, one day, the city that was close to the beach noticed that they had a problem with some beetles that were invading the beach. And the tourists didn't like those beetles because some of those beetles smelled kind of funky and bad. And so the city called the exterminator, and the exterminator said, "Well, sir, you have two options. We can either close the beach while we fumigate everything with toxic substances and we kill everything around, or we can buy some of those lizards and set them free and they will eat the bugs." Yes, great idea. Put an order for 100,000 lizards right away. And they did. And then the farm started gathering all the adult lizards that were ready to go eat the insects. And suddenly everything started shaking, the plastic cages. And everybody was like, "Oh no, we're going to our doom." And Henry was like, "No, guys, I think we're going to the place of my dreams." "No, Henry's a crazy one. We're all going to die." And all the lizards were running inside of the plastic containers. And Henry was like, "Calm down, guys, calm down. I'm sure we're not going to die. We're just going to the place of my dreams." "Henry the crazy one. Don't listen to him, everybody. We're going to die." And they were put in a truck and they were shipped all the way across the country. It was like a 10-hour drive until they finally arrived at the beach very early in the morning. The weather was perfect. All the lizards were shocked. How come they had not died yet? This was not possible. When suddenly, something that never ever happened in the history of any of the lizards that they know happened for the first time. The plastic containers were all opened and no hand came in and no food. And not just that, but the plastic container, the whole lid, the whole roof was gone. Some of the lizards started investigating what was going on outside, but Henry knew. He took off running and said, "Follow me." They were in a beach. They were being released. "Now run and go find insects to eat. They're delicious," said Henry. And so everybody took off in different directions. And some of them were lucky and started finding some of these insects. Others had to go just but a little further. And it was a feast. And they all ate the insects and they made their new home in that beach. And they made Henry their top advisor because Henry was the one that followed his dreams and trusted his instincts and warned everybody that everything was going to be okay. The end.
Yay! That wasn't the story that I asked for. The lizard didn't. The lizard Henry didn't see the grass.
Oh, sorry, of course there was grass in the beach. I mean, there's always grass close to the beach. I forgot to mention it, but yes, it's normal. That's where the lizards would go hide at night so that the birds wouldn't catch them.
Oh.
Yes, it was their home. The end.
Now, better story.
Good night, baby.
Good night. That was the best story I ever heard.
Yay.